Welcome to Nightstand Coffee. This is Season 1, Episode 2. Reckon you're hearing me. Today we're going to be talking about why it seems like we don't listen to each other.
Yeah. So I'm Jen Stanley.
And I'm Todd Stanley.
And we've been married for 25 years. And so how we got the name for this, like we were giggling about what we're going to call this episode. And so this is totally an Arkansas thing, I suppose. No, who says reckon around here?
Right.
Reckon they're hearing me?
And then when you said we've been married for 25 years, what went through my head was the whole State Farm thing. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
I don't even know what that's talking about.
It's the insurance commercials.
I have no idea.
Anyway.
So, okay, the reckon they're hearing me thing is that there was an elderly lady at our church that...
couldn't hear well.
Correct. And so I think she was like in her 90s, and they had her come up and she was playing the piano, and she had made some kind of announcement saying something to the crowd. And so then as she's going to the piano, she says very loudly, "You reckon they're hearing me?" Like she wasn't even sure if people could hear.
so then it became a catchphrase for you and your sister growing up.
And my mom. Like, so It's a family phrase. So like periodically, hey, reckon you're hearing me? Like I'm talking to you. And so welcome to the chaos of our family. We have a lot of weird things to say. So, okay, so how we even got on this topic? One of the things I wanted to talk about was, as a part of my counseling practice, frequently I will have couples in here, and either the couple comes together, or I get one spouse or the other spouse. But essentially, what happens is that, like, the wife, what it seems to be like, the wife is saying to the husband, "Hey, this is what's wrong with our marriage. This is the problem. This is what I need from you. This is what I need to be different," and then they feel like they've said it a lot.
Right.
They feel like the husband does not respond to that. And then the wife's like, "All right, I'm leaving."
Yeah.
And the husband's like, wait. What did I do wrong? Let me fix it. I can fix these things. And so I'm always sitting there going, she's been telling you this for years. Like, how are you missing this?
Right. And it happens the other way too, but more often than not, it seems like it's the wife trying to communicate to the husband and the husband not hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then I wanted to talk about that because it's like, okay, part of like helping a marriage not end would be like, pay attention to the things that your spouse is saying is wrong in the marriage.
Right.
Don't ignore it. And so like, as a female, I'm asking, okay, why is the husband ignoring those things? Like, if you're saying over and over, this is what's wrong, why does the husband not do something about it?
Yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of reasons depending on the couple. But one of the things that comes to mind for me and that I hear from a lot of men is that every complaint sounds the same, right? The kind of tone, the level that it's at is the same for everything. And so men have a difficult time differentiating what's truly important to a woman and what's just something else that she's complaining about. And maybe that sounds callous, but that's the way it feels to a man sometimes. It's like, well, this is just another thing. So
like, you're not taking out the trash, you're not picking up your underwear, and you're not listening to me.
Right. And so in a man's ears, in a man's mind, those all are the same. You're not picking up your socks. You're not taking out the trash. You're
not supporting me emotionally.
Right. Yeah. And all of that sounds the same. And so a man goes, well, which one matters and which one doesn't? Is she just, and then two, it's like, well, men want to fix things. We want solutions, right? If I ask one of my male friends, about an issue that I'm having, what I want is for him to offer a solution, right? But a woman doesn't always want that. And so then what happens as well is that when a man does try to respond, oftentimes his response is to try and give a solution. And then the wife gets frustrated because she wasn't wanting a solution. She just wanted him to hear what she had to say, to listen, to empathize, to, whatever. And so then a man's like, well, she doesn't want my opinion anyway. She doesn't want me to offer a solution. So what am I supposed to do?
Well, and then I want to add this next component to it, because I think often, most times, the husband is wanting to have sex and connect that way. And they're like, the wife isn't giving it at all. She's saying like, you're not meeting my emotional needs, so I am not going to meet your physical needs.
Right.
Because for a woman, sex is definitely an emotional thing. And so here's a tip. When your emotional needs are met as a female, then you are way more likely to engage in sex. And so then what happens is the man's not having any sex, and he's like, well, why should I try to meet your needs? You're not meeting mine.
Right. And so that's what I was going to say. It's a reciprocal thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
If a man's physical needs are being met, if his needs for intimacy is being met, and by the way, sex for a man is not just a physical thing. Certainly, men seem to have a stronger drive and a stronger physical urge for that than women do. But it really is for the vast majority of men that I talk to, especially, if they're involved in a committed marriage relationship and they're not just out there, being a man-ho.
Can we say that on here?
I think we can.
Right,
yeah. So anyway, for most men, the vast majority, there's an emotional connection there as well. That physical thing makes them feel connected to their wife, right? And so anyway, all of that to say, it's a reciprocal thing. If a man's needs are being met in that way, he's going to be much more open and much more willing to listen to his wife for the most part. Nothing's a guaranteed thing, but.
Well, and I would also add that whenever there is trouble in the relationship, often the man frequently goes to sex first. Basically like, okay, we need to fix this. We need to have sex.
Right, because they want to connect.
Right. And the wife's like, this is the last thing I want to do right now because you are not taking care of my emotional needs. I do not want this.
Right. And so the woman's already feeling disconnected.
Yep.
And so then she doesn't want to connect physically. And a man's response to feeling disconnected is, I want to connect with you physically. That's, that's how we connect. That's how we bond. That's how
And so, but then the conflict just kind of grows.
Right. Then you're at a standoff.
Well, and I would talk often about it being like the duel where you've put your backs together and you've stepped it off and you've turned around and you're facing each other and you're waiting for the other one to fire first.
Right.
To change first, to do something first. And then you're stuck. And then you're married for 15, 20 years and your marriage stinks and is no good and you don't know why. And you're just like, well, I'm just here, but there's no changes here.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of things.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack.
But I really feel confident that people that are listening to this are going to connect to it and see it and understand it and go, that's exactly where I'm at.
Oh,
where I have
absolutely.
Been, And so let's go back to the very beginning statement, which was about expressing conflict or expressing dissatisfaction, or when the wife is saying, hey, this is what's wrong. This is what I'm needing from you.
Right.
Because I want to back up and also say this. Oftentimes, I can't even tell you how many times I've had clients in here that have said, the guy said, just tell me what you want. Just tell me what it is.
Right.
Tell me what you need. Write it in crayon. That's something that gets said a lot. Just say what you need and I'll do it.
Yeah.
And the wife's like, I've been telling you that for forever. It's not that hard. And so then that still is a conflict because then the wife feels some kind of hesitation sometimes in saying what they want. They don't want to just boss their husband around. They want him to know. They want him to understand what has happened and just to know. I shouldn't have to tell you what I need.
Yeah. Well,
which is wrong. Just wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can talk about that some more. But I think often what happens too, though, is when a woman is telling her husband what she wants from him, it's in the form of a complaint. So what the husband hears is, here's what you didn't do. What he doesn't hear is, here's what I need from you. Right? And just that switch would make a huge difference in the way that it lands and in the way that most men hear and respond. Because a man wants to meet the needs of his wife. Every man that I know wants to be his wife's hero.
Absolutely.
Right? They want to be their wife's hero. They want to meet your needs. But when it's voiced in the form of a complaint, what they hear is, here's what you didn't do. And most men, I say most men, the tendency then would be to shut down and go, well, I guess I just can't make her happy.
Right. So I'm going to go do something. I'm going to hang out with the boys. I'm going to be out in the garage. I'm going to do something that makes me happy because this wife thing isn't going very good.
Right.
And so I'm going to disconnect and shut down and not give my wife any part of me.
Right.
Because I can't get it right ever.
Right. Or a man's mind will go to, well, here's all the things I'm doing. Right. I'm working. True. I'm working really hard every day. I'm
bringing home the money.
Right. I take care of the yard. I take the kids to softball practice or baseball or whatever. a man will default to the things that he does and go, why isn't that enough?
Right.
Right. And that's not to say that it should be enough, but I'm saying the rewards are huge for men. Like we're egotistical. We like to have our ego stroked. We like to get the attaboys. Look, if I do a project at the house, like, and I've had to learn to do this because it wasn't just a default for you to come and praise me, and I needed the praises. So I just learned to go, hey, I need you to go look at what I did in there and like,
say something about it.
Yeah, let me know how good it is.
Yeah. And I do that, and I go, oh, good, I got this. And so then often I'll go, oh, look what you've done. Look at this. You did that. You did this. And I'm like, I'm getting on Facebook and telling people what you did.
Right. And I know you're going over the top, and I don't even care. Right?
Right. You're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I needed. Well, and that took a while, right? It took a while for us to get to that point where you could say, hey, this is what I need from you. And that I didn't like get irritated that that's what you needed. I would just go, because I'm like, oh yeah, well, let's list all the things that I've been doing, like all the laundry, all taking care of the kids and doing this and doing that. Like, do you praise me every time that I take the dishes out of the dishwasher? No. So why should I take the time to do that for you? And like, that's an attitude of a wife almost all the time. Going, what do you mean? Like, why should I pat you on the back? You were saying nothing and acknowledging none of my work. So see how it feels.
Right.
Right. And it gets really ugly and testy.
Yeah. But what it goes back to is what I was saying about the wanting to be the hero. Like that praise it's such a huge thing.
It does.
It's such a big thing for
Goes
a man.
a long way.
Yeah.
Well, and so this is what I would want people to write down from this conversation. So get your pen and paper out and write this down. If not, you need to mark whatever minute or whatever it is on the podcast and go back to it. But essentially, that you need to be able to express your needs in a form of a request and not a complaint.
Yes.
Because when you're complaining, people get really defensive in that.
Right.
Because it'd be like, so if I needed Todd or wanted Todd to clean out my car. Okay. So it's like, you never clean out my car. You never pay attention to anything that I need. You always like leave all these tasks for me to do and I'm stuck doing it. That's complaining. A request is saying, you know what? It really makes me feel good when you take time to clean out my car because then that's something I don't have to think about. And so like you're way more willing to go do it when I say it like that than if I'm telling you all the things that you stink at.
Absolutely. And then if there's a time frame.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
Like if you just said, hey, I need you to clean out my van. Well, if I'm busy at that moment or if there are other things that I'm presently engaged with or whatever it might be, then I feel like I've got to stop everything that I'm doing to go and clean out the van or just not clean out the van. And either way, it's an irritation, right? It's like, but if you go, hey, I'm going out of town this weekend, could you clean out my van before we leave? I would really like... And just leave that time frame open, right? And give room for your husband to go, okay, here, let me get this in my priority list.
Right.
Because sometimes we're busy. And,
Right.
Sometimes we're not. Sometimes we may just not want to. But still, that time frame gives us time to go, okay, I don't have to.
Well, but I tell you what, though, when I say something, hey, will you do this? And you hop up and do it, that's pretty hot.
Well,
I like that. So it's like, I'm like, oh, that's right. He's taking care of it right now. I like this. Like that feels good. So like, I don't want to get rid of that one. Like that's a good thing.
And so here's something, this is something that I've learned about myself. And so maybe husbands that are out there listening, you can identify with this. Part of it is like, number one, I know that makes you happy when I do that. Like that you identify that as he cares and hears what, my heart and what I need. The other thing is just practically, I will forget.
True.
I don't intend to.
Right.
But I will forget if I don't just get up and do it. And so for me, it's a matter of expediency going, okay, if I'm going to meet her need, I need to just get up and do it right now so that I don't forget, so that I don't run the risk of forgetting. Like,
well, that's fairly like portray it. I don't know that you jump every time.
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay. But you do jump sometimes. Yeah. And I do get excited when you do that.
Yeah.
And I say something about it. Like, oh my gosh, like you just got up and did it right now. That's so awesome.
Right. And sometimes you have to remind me because I forget.
This is true.
And there was a time too where I would have seen that as a problem.
Which part?
you coming to remind me.
It is a problem. I had to remind you.
Well, but I would have been offended by it.
Yeah, true.
Right? Or I would have felt like you were nagging.
Yeah. But if you'd have done it, I wouldn't have had to say anything. So I do think that nagging gets kind of misconstrued.
Right.
Or if it's presented as the complaint, like we said a second ago.
Exactly.
If it's, hey, I still need you to take care of this for me, or, please, I need you to handle this. Like that feels very differently than, I told you 3 weeks ago that I needed to handle this and you still haven't done it. So why do I even bother asking? I'll just do it myself.
Right.
You're not jumping up to do it when I say it like that.
No. And then what the husband feels in those moments is that that there's not been any validation or acknowledgement of the responsibilities that I have or that the man has in his like everyday life. Like it's not like, I've been sitting here on the couch for the last 3 weeks, just, not doing that thing that you asked me to do. And so then it feels like, well, hey, is it not okay that I just forgot, or that it slipped my mind or that, whatever. And not that it should. I mean, part of the challenge for husbands, and this may be the case for wives too. I can't speak for wives.
This is true.
But part of the challenge for husbands, I know for me, is, and now I've lost my train of thought.
Oh,
Isn't that great?
You already forgot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're saying about that jumping up or needing to be reminded that you took it as a problem, that you feel like I was pointing out that your shortcomings if I had to remind you.
Right.
And that used to make you mad.
Yeah.
Anything?
I think I was going to talk about priorities.
Okay.
And that was what I was going to say. Is part of the difficulty sometimes is knowing what is a high priority for your wife.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I got a great example for that.
Okay.
So when we
should I be nervous?
I don't know. Back when we lived in Kansas, we had a fence, our yard was fenced in, and it really needed to probably come down and be replaced. But we had a dog and we had small kids.
Yeah.
And so I just had mentioned it said something about we should probably do something about that fence. So that was just a random statement. I come home one day and you're taking the fence down. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, you said you wanted this fence to come down. I'm like, not today. I don't need it to come down today. We got a dog. We got a kid like this. We can't replace this fence right now. And so I think you ended up putting it back where you had taken down. I don't think you'd gotten very far with it, but I was like, what is happening? And so it's like, I just had this passing comment and he jumped on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is not what I needed done today.
Yeah. So how do couples go about communicating what is of highest priority and what is not?
Well, you have to say for sure, right? You can't just expect them to know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to train people to not expect your spouse to know. Some people use it as a scale of 1 to 10. So 10 is the most important, 1 is not. And so, hey, I've got this hey, we should take the fence down sometime. I think I'd like to replace it. It's probably a 2 on the list for me. We've got this bathtub sitting on our front porch that needs to be removed. Yeah, that happened too. It was was it cast iron?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had remodeled the bathroom.
Yeah, and you left the bathtub on the porch for a really long time. And so it's like, hey, this bathtub needs to go somewhere. This is a 9. you know, we need to take care of
Well,
this.
it weighed 600 pounds, to be fair.
True. And I think you ended up taking a sledgehammer to it and beating
I
it to
busted
smithereens.
it into pieces. And
so you could take it off.
So I could load it up, and haul it off in pieces because I couldn't pick the thing up.
Right. But it's listen, we are from Arkansas, but we do not need to have a bathtub on our front porch.
What could have been a planter?
It wasn't. It really wasn't. So expressing where this conversation is, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we had one of these recently. I said, hey, I would like to have some shelving on my back porch for things like crock pot, blah, blah, because we don't have a lot of space in the kitchen for it. And we also needed some weather stripping because the cat, who is feels the call of the wild and wants to be outside, had
chewed up.
Oh, the whole probably from your knees down of the weather stripping in the back door. And so,
by the way, have you noticed that he's chewed on the new weather stripping?
I did.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not Elvis?
Yeah.
Okay.
I caught the cat doing it.
Okay. Well, stink. Anyway, I did notice it. It's okay, we're going to replace it again. Anyway, so the point was I'm okay, for me.
We could just replace the cat.
Okay, that's wrong episode. Okay, anyway, so like we have the weather stripping is important to me because like I'm worried about paying the bills. I don't like the thought of like air, like
cold air
going out of the house, and like it's fairly close to the thermostat, and so like I don't want it to impact things. And so for me, weather stripping is going to take priority and precedent over like shelving. And so there was, one day I'm calling you, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm at Lowe's. I'm looking at shelving. I'm like, hey, I'm not worried about shelving right now. We'll get to that. I need you to take care of the weather stripping. Like that's what needs my attention. You're like, oh, okay, I can shift that, And so then me not being irritated that you're looking at the wrong thing, right? Because I hadn't expressed to you that weather stripping was more important to me than shelving on the back porch, right? And so, but when I realized that we're not on the same page, being willing to communicate that and not in a way that's hurtful or that puts you down or that makes you feel stupid.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of this comes back, I think, to we bring some unrealistic expectations into our relationship. And expectations that we wouldn't place on any other relationship, really. Because what we do is we assume that they're just going to know what I need.
Yeah.
In fact, that's part of our romantic notion of what the perfect relationship should be, is that they're just going to know me inside and out. They're going to know all my needs before I even say it. They're going to, do all the things, and that's just not real.
Right. You might get closer to that.
Sure.
As you've been together, but you certainly do not start out that way.
Yeah. I mean, after 25 years, I think I know you pretty well, and I can anticipate some of the things that you're going to want and need, but not always, even after all that time.
I would agree.
Certainly not early on.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, definitely not.
And for a lot of reasons. Number one, you don't know that person as well as you think you do because you've not lived together yet. Right. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Right. We can talk about that maybe on a different episode or whatever, the problems that creates. But you've not been in that close quarters together before. You're learning to know. I mean, you're learning about all their habits, like that you didn't know about before. Where do they squeeze the toothpaste tube? Do they leave stuff sitting on top of the trash can? Do they?
Don't diss me.
I didn't say anything.
And then do they need to have Peter Pan peanut butter?
Exactly.
And then Heinz ketchup.
Right.
And then not care about Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you learn about all those things, right? And so you don't.
Those are yours, by the way, just to clarify. Those are the things that you have to have.
So you don't know them as well as you think you do.
Right.
Number two, neither one of you are mind readers.
Right.
And so there are needs and things that you don't know. Also, when you're busy and
raising kids,
doing all the things, sometimes you're not as keyed in as you need to be. Sometimes there's all of that stuff, and so we bring that into a relationship. We bring those romantic notions into a relationship that this is going to be the person who just fulfills all my needs and desires, and which is problematic to start with because it means that we're coming into a marriage relationship not with the idea that we're going to give ourselves to the other person, but that they're going to give themselves to us. And it should be a reciprocal thing. You both should be living for the needs of the other, putting the other person before yourself. But when the question that I'm asking or the expectation that I have is that they're going to fill all my gaps, then that's backwards. I should be saying, I'm going to do everything that I can to meet my wife's needs. And the wife should be saying, I'm going to do everything that I can to meet the husband's needs. But neither of them should have the expectation that that's going to happen. Does that make sense?
Well, so that should be your goal. You should be aiming for that.
Right. We should be aiming to give ourselves without the expectation of anything in return.
Yes, because I think often, particularly for men, I would say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, okay, I'm going to do the dishes and I'm hopefully going to get some action tonight. Yeah.
Well, and I know as a young man, for sure, I heard that kind of advice in the church all the time.
Dude.
Like if you're, sweep the floor and take out the trash and do it, and your wife's going to be a whole lot more likely to give you that sex that you're looking for. And maybe that's true, right?
But it's not a quid pro quo. No,
right.
Not doing this for that.
Yeah. that's exactly the thing. If I am doing those things only to get what I want from my wife, that's manipulation.
Yeah.
But if I am doing those things because I love her and I want to serve and express my love to her without the expectation of anything in return, well, then that's love, right? And that's a much different thing. One of those will lead me to frustration and to entitlement and to, bitterness and anger probably. And the other is forming the image of Christ in me, because I am giving of myself. I am laying my life down for the other person, right? And those are really different things. And one will lead us to freedom and joy. Even if the other person never reciprocates in the way that we might be hoping, it will still lead us to freedom and joy because it is forming the image of Christ in us.
So what would be your suggestion for a husband that's in that situation where they're not getting sex like they want it, and like they want to do the dishes and it's not getting, like, how do you shift that in your mind? How do you change that? Because I think it's a common practice.
Yeah. Well, as a believer, as a follower of Christ, I think the gospel is always the remedy for us. We look at the cross, we look at the Lord, we look, God served and loved us before we deserved it. We didn't earn it. And so when I look at the example of Jesus, that while I was his enemy, he laid his life down for me. And the result of that was my salvation and redemption. Well, if I'm going to love my wife in the way that Christ loves the church, that means that I give myself for her before she deserves it, before she has earned it, even maybe if you feel like she's your enemy right now, right? In the hope that, trusting in the faithfulness of God, that doing so will serve as the redemption for your marriage, for your wife, for like that, that the Lord sees and honors those things. And so we don't do it so that we might get what we want from our wife. We do it because we know that a good and faithful God has promised that this is the way to freedom.
I want to tag on too that, like, a thing that I've tried to do and that I think we've gotten better about is, like, when I'm expressing my need and my expectation, like, I'm super clear about it. So, like, for instance, you're off on Fridays from work. And so there's been a time or two that I've been like, I'm going to work, you're home. And I'm like, hey, the sink is full of dishes. I know that if I come home and those dishes are still in the sink, that's going to irritate me because I'm going to have been at work all day long and you're going to have been home reading something or doing something that you've enjoyed and not done the dishes, and I'm going to be irritated. So I really need you to take care of these dishes so that I'm not irritated when I get home.
Right.
Do you like it when I tell you that?
Do I like it?
Do you like that I've expressed it that clearly, or is that irritating to you?
No, I mean, it definitely helps me to know, hey, this is
a
important.
priority.
Right.
Right.
No, I don't think I would have ever thought of it as irritating me. I mean, certainly there are times when in my mind, I'm going, I don't want to do these stupid dishes, but then I go, well, neither does Jennifer.
Yeah.
Right. And so a way that I can love her is to do those dishes.
Or to get the kids to do them.
Right.
That's part of why you had kids.
I mean, that's why I had kids. Yeah.
Right.
And so, then what I want is for you to come home and see an empty sink and go, oh, look at what you did.
That's right. Let's focus on what you did.
You're so awesome. Right.
Yeah. And then the same thing, like, there's been times before, like, I made a cake once. It was a new recipe. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to give you this piece of cake. And I need you to tell me how great it is.
Yes, yeah.
Right? It's like, I need you to try this, and then you're going to tell me how amazing it is. Okay,
right.
Here's your cake. And so how amazing is it? And so it's playful, but it's like, hey, I'm wanting you to comment and notice on the things that I've done, and not to withhold that. I think when we hold resentment and, like, when we're angry, we withhold those things from each other.
And that's the thing.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Right? We withhold love, or we withhold kindness, or when we feel slighted, which is selfishness, right? And it doesn't make this easy. No one wants to do that, right? No one wants to serve their husband or their wife when they feel like that they've not been served,
right?
these are not easy things. These are hard things, but they are the things that will bring healing and unity and health into a marriage, right? Because it reflects the nature of who God is. God serves me and loves me when I've not been who I ought to be.
Yeah.
Right? And in doing so, right, the scriptures say that it's the kindness of God that leads us to repentance.
Right.
And so if I choose to be kind when I feel offended or slighted, if I choose not to return evil for evil, but if I choose to return, good, then that changes the atmosphere, right? A soft answer, Proverbs says, turns away wrath.
Yeah.
And so if we can be people who, can do that, then we're the kind of people who can, who can have unity and bring healing and bring peace into a situation and bring life to our marriages. But none of that is easy.
Right. Well, and so I want to touch a little bit too about like reflective listening, like making sure that you understand what the other one's saying. Reckon you're hearing me.
Reckon you're hearing me.
Right? Bringing that title back. And so like essentially, like, when I will do the dishes in the sink thing. So I'm saying, hey, I need you to take care of these dishes because you're off today. And so then I say, okay, so what did you hear me say?
Right.
And then you say
that if you come home today and the dishes are there, that's going to be a problem for you. That's going to be aggravating for you. That's going to be,
Right. Good job. Yes, you heard me. Right. And so being able to repeat back what was said, because that sometimes it gets lost in translation.
Right.
Right. And listen, I know that I'm a very, very direct communicator. Like I may be wrong about this, but I don't think it's very often that people don't know what I'm trying to say to them. Like, I think I kind of go for it.
Yeah.
And so, but not everybody else may communicate that way. So,
right.
So if you're not that direct, or even if you are, like, it's okay to ask your spouse, what did you hear me say? On both sides of it. Like, have the husband can ask the wife can ask the husband, like, what did you hear me say in this?
Yeah.
And just to make sure that they took away from the conversation what it is you wanted them to take away from it.
Right.
And so if I say that to you and you say, you are wanting me to make sure that there's no more dishes on the table, and that after that, that's all I have to take care of. Like, no, that is not what I said. I said, I need the dishes to be washed, right? It's like making sure that you're getting the message. And so maybe this one's too black and white to show like how you could misconstrue the communication, but asking the question, say, what did you hear me say?
Yeah.
And not in a hateful way, but just like, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. What did you hear me say about this?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all you got?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I can clarify that any more than you did. I would say too, that, like, just in regard to something as simple as washing the dishes on my day off or whatever, maybe my initial response to that is, I don't want to do that. I'm off today. Right. And so then I'll say the same thing to myself that I would say to our children when they complain about the dishes. I'm like, it'll take you 5 minutes.
Right. That's true.
Right. And so I think sometimes if we can reframe it and understand, like, not every inconvenience is a major inconvenience. It may be inconvenient to you to take that 5 minutes to do the dishes, but it's 5 minutes, and like, if I don't love you enough to give you 5 minutes of my time to do something that I may not be excited to do, well, maybe I should re-examine, my heart toward you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I also want to add too that as people are listening to the podcast, like, we're hoping that we are giving opportunity and suggestions for places to see change and to do change, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, ideally it would be a husband and a wife that are listening, maybe not together, but you both are listening and getting the same information. I would strongly encourage you both to, whenever you see the change in the other spouse, that you take time to say something about it.
Oh, absolutely. Call it out.
Oh, man.
Sorry about that.
And here's why. Because what happens if you've said something to me and I start to change and you don't comment that you see the change, I'm like, well, what's the point? I did that and he didn't even notice.
Right. I've been working all this time. I'm working so hard. Yeah.
Right. Like, I did these things and he doesn't even care. So what's the point?
Right. I knew it didn't matter. I knew he didn't care. I knew she didn't care.
Right. And so even the slightest change, like being able to call it out and say, hey, you know what? I noticed at this time you waited 2 days to do something instead of 5 days. And I really appreciate that. And so like, oh, hey, I noticed that you got up right when I said, will you do this? And saying something about it.
And look for things to praise.
Yeah, that's true.
Most of the time we are looking for things to complain about.
True.
We just do. Well, that's just, I don't know why we seem to be wired that way, but it feels like that our natural tendency is to see the things that are undone,
right,
or to see the things that are done and, whatever, like we see the negative.
Yep.
And so we have to consciously look for the positives. And so, man, I would say like make an intention to do that.
Yeah.
Honor each other. Honor those things. Praise each other for those things, because that will, look.
You're petting the dog. You're saying, good boy.
Yes.
You did such a great thing. And
yes.
It makes you want to do it more. When you get praise for that, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They like that. Okay.
Look,
all right, I can do this.
And I know not everybody has the same personality as me, but I can tell you, like for me, those words of affirmation are huge.
Yeah.
And if I feel like you appreciate me, right, not just for the things that I do, certainly I like to be praised for the things that I do, but if I believe that you love me, like in spite of what I do or don't do, if I just think that you value me and love me, I will move heaven and earth for you. But if I feel like that you don't value me and that it's only about the things that I do for you, I won't want to do anything for you.
Yeah. I can think of some examples of that I've seen in your life that I probably couldn't share on this podcast where that's been true. That like when you feel valued, like you are giving of yourself. When you feel just being used for what you're bringing to the table, kind of like you're like, forget that. I'm not investing in this.
And part of that is like a growth area for me. I've had to learn that about myself because, well, if it's going to be really transparent, if I don't feel valued, I can tend to kind of get passive aggressive, if I'm honest, and just like go, all right, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not going to serve you. I'm not going to, and that should never be my heart or my response. So part of it is like, that's part of the Lord, like,
it's your sanctification process.
Exactly,
you got to change that up.
Exactly. So I certainly recognize that should not be the case, but I'm aware that, and there was a time in my life when I probably wasn't aware that that's what I did.
Yeah.
So now at least I see it and I can respond to it in the proper way. But I still know for sure that if I think people like value me for who I am, I will go all out.
This is true. Well, and so then I would also want to add about what we were talking about before in our, like when we notice things that people are doing. So we've kind of had a joke. It's become a joke for us. And so I don't really exactly remember when. It's been since we've been in Pennsylvania. So within the last 10 years that this has happened. But like, so I don't know, let's say that there's a list of 10 things to get done. And so then like Todd spends the day and he gets 8 of them done. And so then I come home and I'm like, well, what about these 2 you didn't get done?
Yeah. Well,
right? Like that I would be noticing like, okay, you had a list of 10
yes.
and what about these 2?
Yeah.
Right. And so then I don't know if it was reverse. I don't really know how we fell into this, but one of us said, because I think the reverse had been true before. And it's like, one of us said, well, how about let's focus on what I did do?
I said it.
Not on what I didn't do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did. No, it was at our house in Ottawa. I was standing in the kitchen. Yeah.
No.
Yes. 100%.
Well, it didn't change for me until we got to Pennsylvania.
Right. It didn't become a joke until later, but I said it. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so because I feel like I remember where I was standing in our current kitchen where it kind of hit me. Regardless, it's something that like if it's Ottawa, that's a long time. That was like our second house that was in Kansas, Ottawa, Kansas that we lived. Yeah. So that's a long time ago. Anyway, but the point is that like now it becomes a joke. Like, okay, so there were 10 things, you got done 8. Let's talk about the things I did do, not on what I didn't do. And so then like there was a click moment for me going, yeah, you're right. Like, why do I need to focus on the things that didn't get finished? Like 8 is a big deal on a list of 10.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. If you have your own to-do list or I have my own to-do list and I get 8 of the 10 done in a day, I'm going to go, that's a pretty productive day.
Right.
Right. But when our spouse does it, then we're like, 80%. That's a C at best. I need A work,
And that's not nice.
No.
And we would give ourselves the grace of only getting 8 out of 10, but we don't give our spouse the grace of that.
Right.
But we want our spouse to give us the grace when we're the 8 out of 10.
Yeah, we want the grace for ourselves, but we're reluctant to give it to others.
Right. So I think these are important things to be thinking about and considering when you're communicating. So anything else that you want to add to it before we?
No, I mean, I think that's a lot for people to chew on. Hey, here's what I would ask. There's a place for feedback, for questions and things like that on our Spotify page. If you're on Apple Podcasts, it's a little bit different. But we would love to hear from you. Thank you, first of all, those of you who listened to episode 1. We've had some great feedback, and we're so appreciative of you listening. And we want this to be a conversation.
Yeah.
And so we would love to hear from you so that we can interact. And so if there are thoughts that you have, maybe there's a particular scenario that you're going through. Maybe there's like in your marriage right now, you're struggling with some of these things.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. And so that we can, number 1, be praying for you. Number 2, offer any suggestions or hope and help that we might have for you. So that would be the thing that I would put out there is like, we want to know where you're at and what's going on in your life.
Well, and again, we might try to like get it on a website or get it email at some point. But like as we're getting the ball rolling here, just they can find us, right? Because like you and I have posted this on our Facebook page, and that's been basically the extent of it,
right? And
so there's a good chance if you're listening to it right now that
you're our Facebook friend.
That you're somehow connected to us, right? And so then you could find us, either send a messenger message or stop us at church if you got our phone number, or holler, whatever.
Holler.
Oh, sorry.
Reckon you're hearing me?
Well, whatever. So we told on the first episode our Arkansas roots. There it is. Okay, so you can holler at us and let us know what it is that you want us to discuss or what questions that you have, because we want it to be relevant to you. And so, anyway, we're happy to be here and just glad that you're listening to us.
Yeah, thanks for being with us.
Okay, till next time.